from his home studio in Calgary is my friend and colleague, Adam Soos, and we are doing a bit of a wrap up about all things in the conservasphere, not just in Alberta, but I guess all across the country. Adam, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is an initiative that you've taken on yourself as a resident of Calgary. You've suffered for, many, many years under former Mayor Naheed Nenshi and his bad ideas. And you know what? I think your new mayor is going to give him a run for his money. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I certainly agree. And the sort of sad thing is you always knew what to expect from Nenshi.
Mhm.
Since becoming a mayoral candidate, we've known what to expect from mayoral newcomer Jyoti Gondek. But there was a time where she was a loud and proud energy sector endorser. There's pictures of her with the I Love Alberta and I Love Canada oil stuff. She wore the sweaters. She did the whole spiel. We put out a video this week, and it's part of our NoClimateEmergency.com campaign. And you can see the full clip of Jyoti endorsing all the environmental and economic perks of Canadian energy compared to other oil and energy providers around the world. So she was once very much on side and very much an ally. She and the rest of City Council now, unfortunately, just last week, unanimously endorsed at least the notion of debating whether we should declare a climate emergency. So not even one person in all of City Council in Calgary, the conservative hub of oil country, not one person was like, this is silly. All of them were like, yeah, we should probably have a chat about this. One councillor, I believe, said, well, the emergency's a bit sort of dire, but let's talk about it anyways. There was not one person who said, no, this is ridiculous. They unanimously voted. Again, they didn't unanimously vote to declare the emergency, but they voted that it should be given light of day in City Council. Even Councillor Peter DeMong, and you'll see this in the video as well, acknowledged that this was merely a symbolic gesture, to which I replied that there's no such thing as a symbolic emergency. This is yet another in the never-ending sort of political progressive opportunities to pat themselves on the back that does nothing to help people on a practical level, does nothing to alleviate the environment. It's an opportunity for more friends to get contracts, more taxes, more pains and sufferings for the average Joes, but nothing actually being done for the actual environment to help the environment out. So yeah, no climate emergency, not in this province anyways, and certainly not in this city.
Now, what changed, I guess? What changed between being like, hey, we're pro oil sands, I acknowledge the human rights abuses of the other oil producers of the world, to, yeah, oil's bad in the, oil capital of Canada. Yeah. What happened?
And that is the great question. Who knows? Who knows what happened? I mean, very likely she did become the favorite incumbent of Naheed Nenshi and was sort of pushed on this trajectory towards mayoralhood. And one of the other things that's extremely troubling about this is she didn't hide this. She talked about this when she was campaigning. So practically speaking, while she didn't certainly get a majority of the vote or an overwhelming win by any metric, the challenger, who probably would have been more reasonable and opposed to this stuff, Jeremy Farkas, she beat him quite sort of decidedly. So she, as much as any mayor, has had a clear mandate to sort of endorse this. So you can't even just necessarily point the finger at her. Problematically, people have also married into this ideology. And when you have all the media, all these international sort of lobby groups, everyone just heralding that this is the point we have to push. If you want to be popular and progressive, you have to marry this ideology, even if it's something that doesn't make sense, even if it's something that councillors are saying is simply symbolic. The person who actually put this motion forward was Councillor Raj Dhaliwal. It wasn't Jyoti Gondek. She said she was going to, so obviously there's some conversations that have been had, and they did this. When interviewed, he said that some of his constituents, this is reported, some of his constituents were very upset about like hail damage in a recent storm. That's why he's passionate about climate change. You can't make this stuff up. It is just absolute, because heaven forbid there was ever another climate non-climate change related hailstorm. Like hail comes from climate change, so it is laughable. it's a mixed bag of ideological nonsense and bogus excuses, acknowledgments that it's simply symbolic. Listen, I have a practical solution for, like, let's not pollute in our rivers, let's not do this, let's not do that. I think everyone, particularly if it's hunters or outdoor activists, people are active people, not activists rather, but people who spend time outdoors are for protecting nature. In practical terms, that doesn't mean me sending tax dollars to the European Union or the Clinton Foundation or Tides Foundation. It should be practical either restrictions or sort of tax breaks for companies that are doing the right thing. Not necessarily eco credits for people buying $140,000 Teslas, or taxes that go into think tanks that don't actually produce anything or reduce pollution. So yeah, big mess, yet another in the never ending of eco schemes that are out there. Ultimately, I'm hoping that it is mere virtue signaling and it doesn't amount to anything, or maybe it could be attempting to fill the core. They're going to have grants to lure, and this is hopeful. I'm hoping Jyoti's listening, hopeful and wishful thinking. Hopefully they lure new business in and innovations by giving credits to eco, whatever, I don't care, but something good that helps the city. Because if it's just less, like taking our garbage even less and more pain in the butt stuff and limitations on vehicles that are further going to hinder a city that's already struggling and is already at a third capacity, I'm not interested in any of it.
Well, and that's the thing. They say these declarations are purely symbolic. However, there are very tangible things that flow from these declarations, in the same way that, like the Paris Agreement targets, those are purely aspirational. And so the Conservatives at the time under Andrew Scheer whipped the vote to support the Paris Accord targets. And then, then we get all these, like, the gender-based analysis on energy projects. They all sort of get spawned from that. You end up seeing the carbon tax tick up and up and up because, even the Conservatives agreed with this sort of stuff. And so I think at the municipal level, this means fewer garbage pickup days, more expensive recycling, more bike lanes that nobody uses for sure. And I didn't realize that this was the case. I thought it was a safety issue, but William Macbeth from True North, who is a municipal watcher in Calgary, he explained it to me that the reason they want to reduce the speed limit in residential areas is not really for safety issues. It's to combat climate change. They think slow your car down, get there slower, fewer emissions in your residential cul-de-sac. I mean, it's just crazy. You'd like to get access to my show as well as other great TV style shows too, like Ezra's Nightly, Ezra Levant Show, and David Menzies' Friday night show, Rebel Roundup. Just go to rebelnews.com/subscribe. That's rebelnews.com/subscribe.